Hi everybody, I'm Sarah Keogh, I'm dietitian with the Celiac Society, and we are going to talk today about iron and celiac disease. Lots and lots of people with celiac disease do experience low iron levels. In fact, up to 40% of people who actually have repeated low iron when they have blood tests done will turn out to have celiac disease. But even when diagnosed, lots of people with celiac disease can still have lower iron levels. And the main reason for this is that iron absorption is one of the first parts of digestion that's impacted when someone with celiac disease eats gluten. And so iron levels can start to fall even before someone starts to feel sick. As I know lots of you watching with celiac disease will know, some of you will feel very sick immediately when you eat gluten, whereas others might be eating little bits of gluten for years before something like low iron or other effects turn up. So it's really important for people with celiac disease, obviously, to follow a strict gluten-free diet, and that's the number one thing. But even with that, pay attention to your iron, because in general, lots and lots of people have low iron intakes anyway, but when it comes to celiac disease, it's something that you do need to pay close attention to. And the problem is that low iron is going to affect you in lots of ways. So iron is really important in helping your body to make red blood cells, and they are what carry the oxygen around your body. Every cell in your body needs oxygen to make energy. So if you have low levels of oxygen going around your body, you have lower levels of energy, and it just makes people feel much more tired and much more fatigued. And that's not something that we need. So specifically, low iron can affect you in a couple of ways. So low energy is the most common one, really feeling tired. You know, you'll see someone who would normally have had lots of energy and suddenly even getting out of the chair can be a difficulty if their iron is quite low. But low iron can also affect appetite, so sometimes appetite can go down. It can affect memory. If you haven't got enough oxygen going around your body, you know, kind of the brain isn't going to be working at its best, so people can find they're a little more forgetful than they might have been. They tend to do less exercise just because they're so tired, and of course that has other effects on mood and energy levels, but also long-term health. And we know that we need lots of exercise with celiac disease to keep the bones nice and healthy. But it can also impact sleep, especially in children. We do know that lots of children, if their iron is low, actually can make it more difficult for them to fall asleep. And then fatigue, and even if iron is very low, sometimes people can get quite breathless. So where do we find iron? So what we need is about 2 to 3 foods from this list every day. So we're looking at things like red meat. Now, if you go for red meat that's not processed, rather than lots of processed red meat all the time, so you're going for things like maybe mincemeat and a bolognese, rather than always going for sort of ham and chorizo and kind of processed meats. With poultry, you're looking at the chicken legs or turkey legs, which have most of the iron. Oily fish will have a little. Shellfish, especially mussels, are great. And then eggs actually are very good, particularly the egg yolk is where all the iron is. On the vegetable side, green leafy vegetables like cabbage, spinach, kale are really good sources. Beans and lentils are fantastic. So chickpeas, kidney beans are really good. Lentils, if you can put them into soups and stews and things like that, are brilliant. And then seeds and nuts like pumpkin seeds, almonds and hazelnuts are really good as snacks. So just to think about getting, when you look at your meals, 2 to 3 meals a day will be important. One of the problems with celiac disease is that normally in Ireland, breakfast cereals with iron added are a major source of iron in the Irish diet. So, you know, a lot of the cereals that we might have eaten before we were diagnosed that were giving us iron are now gone. So we do have to be a little more careful in making sure that we have iron at more of our meals. If you do have low iron, if you've had a blood test to find that you're low in iron, it's what you do need to do is to take a supplement for usually 3 to 6 months, really just depending on how low it is, particularly if your iron stores are low, as well as maybe your hemoglobin, because it can take a little bit of time to really get those stores built back up, and that's where your supplement is going to be important. It's quite difficult to do that with food on its own. So looking at an iron supplement for 3 to 6 months, and once you've completed that iron supplement, do go back to your GP and get a blood test to make sure that your iron levels did come back up, because it's very important to make sure that you're still absorbing the iron. So, you know, if you've taken the supplement, you've really looked after your iron and your iron levels haven't come back up, we need to check out, maybe have you got gluten coming in somewhere? Sometimes being low in some of the B vitamins can have an impact on that as well. So just always follow up with your iron, make sure your iron came back up to good levels. And if you do decide to stop taking your iron supplement, after about 3 to 6 months, pop back in and just check your iron levels again and make sure that they stayed up, because if they do fall again, you're going to be back to square one. So just important to keep an eye on it. one thing that does help to boost your absorption of iron is plenty of vitamin C. So fruit and vegetables, making sure that you have some at every meal. So that could be maybe a small glass of orange juice at breakfast time. You might have half a grapefruit if you like it. Even a banana will have vitamin C at breakfast, so that will help you to boost some of your iron absorption if you're putting seeds and things into cereals. But then at lunch and at dinner, make sure you have a good bowl of tomato soup maybe at lunchtime, that you've plenty of vegetables at dinner time. And having those at the same time that you're eating your other foods with iron in them actually really helps absorb it, and it will just make it a little bit easier for you to get what you need. So that's the end of our video for today. Thank you for watching. If you have any further questions, please get in touch. The website is www.coeliac.ie, and you can email us at info@coeliac.ie.